Para.
Hello and welcome to Sacred Pause with your host, myself, Kelsey Keil. This is the podcast for anyone looking for a break, a quiet moment to just be, without any other obligations other than to get grounded, get in your heart, get out of your head, and to be still in whatever it is you're struggling with and desperately wanting to heal. Oftentimes, all we need in order to feel at peace is a sacred pause. Is there something you're afraid to share with others? Maybe your friends or your family? Maybe due to fear of not being accepted? For me, this was coming out of the closet. In this episode, I get very personal and take you through my journey of coming out to my parents. This episode is about being your true authentic self, no matter how scary, all while healing your past wounds. Wounds that you may not even realize are holding you back. Hello. I hope you're all doing well and being easy on yourself and loving others, even when you have differences and have different beliefs. In fact, we should love each other even more when there are differences. So this episode, I'm going to get a little personal, extra personal, not the most excited about it. But I'm so happy to do it because I think it's a perfect example of love and acceptance no matter what the circumstance may be, as well as I think it shows the power of healing our past. In fact, I think healing our past is crucial if we want to be someone who is truly present and content and at peace with whatever is happening, and therefore can focus on your future, reach goals that seem unimaginable. How can you expect to be happy in the present if your past still haunts you? How can you expect to reach big goals for the future if your past is still in your space? How can we expect to be peaceful and present if we're still holding on to the past? If we're still traumatized from our past, we can't. We can't be truly present and peaceful in the present moment if we haven't yet healed, accepted, and let go of our past traumas. One major obstacle in my life so far that I had to overcome in order to be me, in order to be the person I am right now, was definitely coming out of the closet, especially to my parents. Accepting me, accepting myself, accepting the fact that I'm a little different from the norm was not easy at all, which is why it took me so long to finally open up and be vulnerable enough to be honest with my parents and share this with them. And thinking back, the first major steps to my acceptance, the acceptance of myself, was taking that leap of faith and telling them. I was so afraid to tell them, share this with them. Even while I was in a relationship with someone in college, I was hiding it from them the whole time. So for about a year, I was with my partner at the time, and I just told my parents that we were friends, as if I was that sneaky. I mean, I literally lived with my mom and my stepdad at the time, and then I was lying and acting like my girlfriend was my friend. So I would have had to be very sneaky to get that past them, and I wasn't. According to my mom, it was very obvious, so obvious that that Jordan, my partner at the time, was way more than my friend. So obvious that my mom and my stepdad finally just sat me down and one day kind of made me tell them, which I'm so grateful for because I really needed that push and it needed to come out. So it was perfect. Holding and carrying on secrets, just holding secrets takes a lot of energy, especially if it's your secret, if you think it's your big dark secret. So when I finally told them, it felt amazing. We were crying, they hugged me, it felt so good to get it off my chest. I literally felt lighter, and I knew right away that they still loved and accepted me, which was my biggest fear, opening up and not being accepted for who I am. So that was great, but I also knew that they would accept me, my mom and stepdad. But the reason I was still so scared is because my mom was raised very Mormon. Her whole side of the family is Mormon, very Mormon. I was basically raised Mormon as well, not entirely because I didn't go to church every Sunday and blah, blah, blah. But the most important part is that I was very serious about the rules growing up. The rules like no drugs, no alcohol, no being gay. So I definitely let all that get in my way of telling them sooner, because that just added to my fear of opening up and being rejected just for being me. And my fear wasn't all wrong, because my grandma, my mom's mom, when she found out, she had a really hard time accepting it. When the news finally got to her, she actually didn't speak to me, my mom, or my stepdad for a few months, because this is what I was told, at least, that she was blaming them for my being gay. Yeah, you heard that right. Wrap your mind around that one. But after some time, my grandma was able to get past it. And I am so grateful for that. I love her so much for it. I love her even more than before all of this, because I know it wasn't easy for her. She was brought up very differently than I was, of course, and in Samoa of all places, which is not the most progressive country out there at all, especially during the time my grandma was growing up. So what she most likely had to work through to get past this and accept me, her granddaughter, was probably extremely hard. And despite her initial reactions, now she's even more loving and accepting of me, accepting of all my choices, and even loves my partner, Paige. So words can't even express how happy that makes me, and I feel so grateful to have her as my grandma. Like my grandma, my dad was on a similar page when I finally told him. So about 7 years ago, this all happened about 7 years ago. So during this time, my dad lived in Samoa, and he still does. And we would really only email every once in a while, and that's about it. So I had a brilliant plan on how to tell him. I would just email him, tell him I'm gay, and we'd be done. I'd be free, because telling my parents was definitely the hardest part for me. So I did it. I sent him an email, getting everything off my chest, basically just saying that I've been wanting to tell him for a while now, and that when he was visiting me, the last time he was visiting me in California, that he actually met my girlfriend, my partner at the time, but I was too scared to tell him. So I just told you she was my friend. But I made sure to say it, but just know I'm really happy. I'm the happiest I've ever been, actually, and that I really hope he understands. So that's what I told him. And I really wish I had the exact email that I sent him, but I actually was able to find his exact response to my email. So I'm going to read it word for word, and here it goes. The subject line is thoughts, capital letters. Okay. Hi, Kelsey. Sorry for the late reply, but what you've brought out weighed heavily on me, and it took some time to wrap my mind around it. You know I love you with all my heart, Pua. He calls me Pua. And I respect you as a young woman who is trying to find herself in the world. But I'm shocked with what you have revealed. As your father, I cannot support or approve that type of risky behavior. That type of lifestyle goes against everything that I've taught and raised you to be. Your actions have serious consequences, and it only brings sadness and disappointment to both sides of our families. You've probably been told not to worry about what others think. It's your life, and you do whatever makes you happy, but they're absolutely wrong. Whew, man, you're a branch of our family tree, and what you do does affect your family, especially your immediate family. We are family and will always be connected. So what you do, whether good or bad, will affect us. Friends come and go, but family is forever. I will continue to love you, but what you're doing is not you, and I can't support it. That's not us, and it's not you. Don't get swayed into thinking that it's cool and it's okay. It is not. Please don't be upset with me. I'm only acting as a caring father, and as your father, I will always love you and miss you. You're my only daughter. My hope and dream are for you to have a family of your own, one that I will help grow and be proud of. That is the natural progression of life. Please stop what you're doing now and start reevaluating your life. It's too precious to waste. With much love and respect, Dad. Oh boy. So that obviously still hurts a lot. And it's so hard to read. Oh shit. I mean, reading words like this, words that go against everything I stand for, from my own dad, yeah, not the best feeling in the world. I remember after reading this the first time, I don't think I cried. I think I was just shocked and angry. Angry that he thought it's okay to send something like that to his daughter. Honestly, if I didn't have my mom, my stepdad, and my partner, Jordan, at the time by my side, I don't know what I would have done or how I would have reacted. I remember I was just left with an emptiness that I had never felt before, and looking back, I'm so proud of myself for not shutting down and listening to what he was telling me to do, which was to stop being me, stop being happy, and to act accordingly, or else there'll be consequences. He wasn't only putting his shame on me, that wasn't enough. He had to bring the whole family tree in and make sure I knew that they would be disgusted as well. Ugh. Even reading this email today confuses me in a weird way. And I'm so clear in my morals and what I think is right and wrong now. So the fact that my younger self didn't read that and just give up and give into that story, give into his story, to his fears that he was trying to force onto me, I definitely do not and still don't give my younger self, enough credit. That is for sure. Also, what I'm realizing now is that this email, my dad's response, is when I first learned boundaries. It's when I first learned how to listen to myself rather than others, listen to my heart rather than fears of my own and fears of others. I had to get to this level of pain and this level of hurt to truly realize that this life is precious and it's mine, no one else's, not even my dad's. It's mine to do whatever I want with, and I'm not going to let anybody tell me how to live it, especially when I'm just simply being me, following my heart and being happy. I think I'll feel an array of emotions every single time I read this email. The difference now is that I feel it as deeply as possible and then I let it go. I feel the pain, I feel the fear, the sadness, and then I let it all go because I know it's not mine and I know he doesn't mean it. He might think he does or did at the time, but I know that his reaction was simply due to his past, his childhood, due to how he was raised, his fears, and his unhealed past. Like my grandma, he was brought up very differently than myself in Samoa, in a very strict family, very strict environment, literally a whole different world. So his reaction actually has and had nothing to do with me. Now, I definitely was not aware of this 7 years ago when I first read this. It took me years and years to finally heal this with myself, and in turn with my dad, in that order. Fortunately, my dad was able to move past this and accept the fact that I'm going to do what I'm going to do, and I know this was not easy at all for him. I can't even imagine what he most likely went through as a child to have him, first of all, have a reaction like he did, and what he had to work through and heal in order to still be in my life today. And I couldn't be more grateful for that and for him. I know that some parents just disown their kids for being themselves, for being different, whether they're gay or no longer want to follow a certain religion or whatever the case may be. And it really did feel like we were on that track for a bit. But since this email about 7 years ago, we have both grown so much individually and together. And we talk at least once a week now. He knows my partner, and I could tell that he really does accept us and accepts me. I don't think he loves it, but he's able to be with it, and I love him for that, and that is literally all I could ask for. I think all of the ups and downs with my dad have made our connection, our bond stronger, because he knows me more now. He understands and sees me for me. If I would have never told him when I did and just kept living this lie with him, we would have never been forced to do this work. Do the healing that eventually allowed us to become closer and more authentic and honest with one another. I mean, he doesn't go very deep with me and ask me too many questions about my relationship, but that's totally okay. He's just not comfortable talking about certain things, and that's fine. It's not my job to change him. It's my job to keep being me, keep accepting me, keep loving me, and in turn loving and accepting everybody, and in this case, accepting my dad, loving and accepting all his good and all his bad, because he's just a human that also happens to be my dad, and I know he's doing his best, and I know it, I see it, and I appreciate it, and I love him for it. The lack of questions about my relationship did trigger me at first. Because like after we talk on the phone, I would just be left feeling like he didn't care about me or my life. But I know he does. He shows me in other ways, in his own ways. And again, he could have chosen to not talk to me ever again, because that shit happens all the time. But he chose me. He chose to still be in my life, be here for me, and accept me. And I will be forever, ever, ever grateful for that. And I love him more now than I ever have. Before all of this, I love him more now. Going through this process of love and acceptance of myself, or with myself and with my family, was one of the most painful things I've ever had to do, and I also wouldn't change any of it, not one thing, because I wouldn't be who I am today if I hadn't. I wouldn't be me if I wasn't gay. I wouldn't be me if I didn't choose to be vulnerable enough to share this part of me with my parents, with my family. All of this hurt, all of this shame, all happened for a reason and was perfect. It taught me how precious life is, and that I need to start living it to the fullest immediately, however I see fit, and being my authentic self the entire way, no matter what anybody else says, especially the ones closest to me. This experience has made me stronger, made me wiser, more resilient, more aware. Now when someone isn't accepting of me in any way, I can shrug that shit off real quick because I know it's not my problem. I'm not doing anything wrong. I'm just being me. And most importantly, what I've learned through all of this is I've learned the power, the utmost importance of loving and accepting others, no matter what the circumstance is, no matter how outrageous their beliefs might be, because I've felt both sides, and choosing love, choosing acceptance will always win. I think we are all here, all born to break old patterns of our parents, patterns of their parents, patterns of our families, of our ancestors. Break all the patterns that aren't serving us, aren't serving the world, aren't serving humanity. And we're here to continue the process of healing for ourselves, for our parents, for our kids, and so on. When we heal our past, our wounds, we aren't healing just ourselves. We are healing so much more than that. And that's why it's so important, so crucial to do this work, to do our work, not our day jobs, not our 9-to-5s, healing ourselves, healing each other so that we can all be more open and more present and more loving to each other. That's the real work. That's the work that is going to make a difference in this big ass, crazy ass world. So if you think you're just one person and you can never make a difference, that's simply not the case. You're here to be you, be whatever you want to be, and love every step of the way, even though it's hard. If we do that, we'll be healing ourselves, we'll be healing our past, and in turn, we'll be more present, more open, more loving, more aware. And that's where we want to be. That's what the world needs. The world needs more of me being me, and more of you being truly you. Thank you all so much for listening to a bit of my story. I hope it can help you be more of you, because I promise that is what the world needs more of. And also remember that we can still love and accept people even if we don't agree with what they are doing or what they believe. If we can all remember this, especially right now, I think the world would be a much warmer, much more loving place. Please share this if you think it could help someone, and always a rating, a review would be so appreciated. Love you all. I'll talk to you next week.